All right, welcome to another edition of SJHL Weekly. Now, don't adjust your TV sets. Jeremy Corrigan is on the road right now, heading to the SJHL MJHL Showcase in Winnipeg. I am producer Clark Munroe from IKS Media. If you watch or listen to SJHL Insider on Thursday, that's where you'll know me from when we talk about SJHL every Thursday. But I'm sitting in for Jeremy today doing my best Corgs impression. So we're going to get through this just fine, guys. And I'm going to rely on these two gentlemen in just a few minutes here, and we'll get to that. But before we do that, we got to give a big shout out to our sponsors. And I'm going to rattle these off top of my head, gentlemen. I've memorized these. There is no help at all in this room, anywhere near the camera. We got Chevrolet, Capital Auto Mall, Cantera Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGEU, Direct West, Tourism Saskatchewan, SGI, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Young's Equipment. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Without them, we got nothing here, guys. These guys keep us afloat. So we got to thank our sponsors. We're going to bring in our guests later, or our co-host later in the show, though. We will be joined by Nipawin Hawks forward Braxton Buckberger, who is on a tear right now. Can't wait to chat with him. But let's bring him in now. Rory Mcgouran, voice of the Humboldt Broncos, and Jamie Neugebauer, voice of the Notre Dame Hounds. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Matt. It's been 7 weeks since we've been back in studio all together. I'm very excited about that. Showcase is coming up tomorrow on Wednesday, so can't wait to watch that. And then just a happy birthday wish back home yesterday with my girlfriend Megan. So
there you go.
Back home, but I'm very.
I was going to ask about your weekend, but how did everything go?
Hockey and a birthday celebration. So yeah, it was fantastic. A win and a loss for the Humboldt Broncos, but you can just tell the anticipation and excitement for all the players that got selected to the SJHL Showcase, and I can't wait to kick that off tomorrow and break it down today.
Yeah, we got a lot
of coverage for the Showcase today, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, stay tuned. Jamie, how was your weekend?
No, good. Thanks for asking. Great start. Great job reading off all those that are following those.
They're not. I didn't read anything off. I memorized them.
Memorization. I want to hijack the show for 30 seconds. So
Deal.
Give me a second here. I know we talk about hockey. We have a lot of fun. Last week was the Bell Let's Talk Day, and I really want to shout out Jake Southgate of the Battlefords North Stars for showing a lot of courage and bravery for his whole family to use the platform of that day to talk to CTV Regina, I believe it was, and talk about the suicide of his older brother, and just being vulnerable and willing to talk about that. And I messaged Braden Klamosko, his coach, and apparently a lot of people did as well, to say, with kids like that, no wonder you guys are running such a successful program. It's not all about wins and losses, and I don't want to bring it down too much, but I really thought it was important we shout out Jake Southgate for being brave to do that, and seems like an unreal young man. Obviously, he's ripping up the league too on the ice.
Doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Big time kudos as a human being to Jake Southgate.
I don't think you're bringing anything down. I think it's important to talk about, and we've learned that over the last few years. I mean, you guys are both involved with hockey teams, with the players directly, and mental health initiatives have been really stepping up over the last, I'm going to say, decade, and I think it's a great thing. So I don't think that's bringing it down at all. Thanks for sharing, Jamie. Yep. We're going to get back, have a look back now, courtesy of Sask Lotteries at the last couple of days. Obviously, yesterday there was no games, but over the weekend there was 11. So let's have a look at Friday's games, if you guys don't mind. It was a busy one. 6 games. Every single team was in action. So we got Humboldt beating doubling up the Melville Millionaires 6-3. Melfort beating Weyburn 4-3 in overtime. Battleford's doubling up again on Yorkton 4-2. Flin Flon handled Estevan 5-1. Larange 3-2 over the rival Nipawin Hawks in overtime. And Jamie's Notre Dame Hounds 5-1 over the Kindersley Clippers. A bit of a revenge game, and maybe we'll get to that later here. But if we go over to Saturday's games now, a little bit of a lighter schedule on Saturday. Only 5 games that day. Battleford's tripled the Melville Millionaires 6-2. Larange 6-3 over Nipawin. Weyburn 7-1 over Kindersley. Flin Flon again over Estevan 3-1. And Melfort 4-1 over Rory's Humboldt Broncos. But we will wait on that one. Let's start, gentlemen, if you don't mind, with Flin Flon and Estevan, as I said in our pre-show chat. Flin Flon and Estevan. Rory, what do you think? That was a couple of really big games, and Flin Flon seemed to handle it pretty well. What do you have to say about that
They
one?
did. First off, you as a broadcaster, you love when there's 11 games on the weekend and you do an out-of-town scoreboard, and the broadcasters around the league will know what I'm talking about in the intermission. It eats up a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
You can dive into
Real
all the
helpful.
game, and it's beautiful. but talking about eating up a lot of opportunity in time was the Flin Flon Bombers.
Yep.
It was the first time Estevan was back up in the Whitney Forum since last May, since the SJHL Championships. And this was just, Flin Flon flexing their home ice muscles again, right? 106 shots on net of Cam Hrdlicka combined between the two games. 3 for 5 on the power play in the first game. The power play really was the difference maker in that game 1. And then in game 2, it got, emotional, it got physical, it got maybe over the line in some ways, of a lot of penalty minutes. You don't really... you're not surprised by that. This team has a lot of past experience with each other. A lot of the same players are coming back for the next year after that championship. But Flin Flon at home, it's one of the hardest places to win. So the only thing I would take away from Estevan's side of it is that their offense may be drying up a touch, although they have played Larange and Flin Flon. But they've only had 3 goals combined between those 3 games. Yeah. They're going to need to find a little offense, but those are just tough buildings and tough places to play and tough teams against. So I'm not too worried about Estevan, but Flin Flon, again, they just proved that you go to the Whitney Forum, you're in for a tough game.
And 10 power plays on Friday between those two teams, 17 on Saturday.
It was...
Or 16, I might have done the math wrong.
It got a little spicy, as you like to say.
Yeah, a little spicy for sure. Speaking of teams that played each other twice, Larange, Nipawin, Jamie, another important series for both teams. A couple of really hot teams lately, and it seemed like Larange maybe had Nipawin's number a little bit over the weekend.
Yeah, quickly before we move on to that, Cody Davis back for Estevan.
Oh, yep.
And when he gets I'm sure when he finds his groove, he'll be huge for Estevan.
The road runner, I think.
Points in.
Yeah.
One of the fastest kids in the league, if not the fastest. And Alex
Nick
von
Saragella,
Sprecken
shout out.
Nick Saragella. Alex von Sprecken committed to Nate Estevan kid. Obviously, we talked about that. Anyways, we'll move on.
Thank you for those notes. Those are important.
Move on. So. Yeah, Larange sweeping Nipawin. Obviously, lots has come out lately about Larange and some of the adversity that they are going through as a club, I guess we'll say, with some suspensions and some issues outside of the game. But, didn't seem like it was too much of an issue. I guess Topher Chirico continues to put on a show and show that, between him and Dawson Smith, hard to think of a better 1-2 punch in the sticks in the league than Larange has. They got, he's got 5 of his last 6 starts have been wins. 3 of last 4. His save percentage has been north of .936. So for Topher Chirico, he's been incredible. And Nipawin outshot Larange 33-11 in the first 2 periods on Saturday, but it was 5-2 Larange anyways. So crazy how that goes. And the Larange Ice Wolves, and I know Rory, you keep close eyes on when teams score goals, what their goal difference is in first, second, third periods. Do a good job of covering that. And I looked that up, and Larange is as good as anybody in the third period. Rallying, they're never out of a game. They're plus 17 in the third period, and that is really telling. Larange never out of a game, especially in their rink, and especially since they've played 11 overtime games, Larange, already this year, and they've won 7 of them, which is the most in the league for a team that's gone to overtime. So Larange, again, lots of character. Snaps Nipawin's long streak. I know you on the podcast they're talking a lot about Nipawin, and for good reason.
Yeah, shout out Nipawin. We talked about them a lot on Thursday,
and for good reason.
Insiders.
For good reason. Tad Cozen's done a good job, and we can talk to Braxton all about that. But Larange, there's something, in the heart there of Larange. They never quit. They play with a lot of fire. And they got great goalies to back them up if they're out of position. So big time kudos to Larange for sweeping Nipawin, and it's not easy to beat Nipawin these days.
No.
Well.
I just want to add one point on that series that game on the weekend in Larange is the last time Larange is at home until February 25th.
And I'm pretty
they have 8 straight road games. We know how good they are at home. They're going to need to take care of business on the road now if they want to stay above that playoff line, because, look at it. 58 points for Larange, 55 for Humboldt and Flin Flon, 53 for Melfort.
We can bring up the standings, guys, if you want.
Sure, yeah, pop it up, but, it's from 2 to 7 now. Nipawin's even in the picture. If you slump a bit, you're threatening not only falling out of the playoff race, but now putting yourself into that 7 race. So we know how important it is to maybe get into the 6, get out of that 8 spot for Weyburn trying to, so they don't have to take on the Battleford's North Stars in the first round, right? So that's my point about Larange. They're going to have to take business on the road. For the other side, for Nipawin, I think in these 2 games, they showed that they're in there now, right? We were talking about the slippery slope on a swimming pool last week.
Yeah.
Nipawin against these Larange Ice Wolves proven that, they're right there in that top mix as well. And then Nukes, of course, mentioned the suspensions for the Larange Ice Wolves. I don't know too much detail into what obviously happened, but maltreatment and Hockey Canada got involved. So it obviously wasn't a physical altercation on the ice. And, I'm assuming it will stand. And in my opinion, what was said or not has, no place in the game of hockey. So Unfortunately, I don't have any other details, but if it was something that was extracurricular, some form of abuse, then there's no room for that, and I agree with the suspensions that were handed down from Hockey Canada.
Yeah, but I know, as well as me, Kevin Kaminski is sitting there knowing that for Chirico to face 122 shots in 3 games is not sustainable for LaRoche. So
You don't think?
Yeah.
You don't
they
think?
got a couple wins.
88 saves on Friday and Saturday
Yeah,
combined.
pretty unbelievable, right?
It was in LaRange and in Nipawin, though. Those are two small barns. A lot of shots are coming.
Absolutely, that's absolutely
point.
true.
That's a great point.
There's still hockey coaches, and they're still going to be like, we need to tighten things up if we're going to have sustainable wins. They're happy with the wins, I'm sure. The points, as you saw in the standings, are crazy. But if you expect Topher Chirico and Dawson Smith to face that much rubber on a regular basis, I'm not going out too far on a limb. I'm not going to get an angry text from Killer or Schneids. That is not sustainable.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I don't think so anyway. What do I know?
Well, one thing that is for certain, and when we looked at the standings and they were up there, so everybody saw them, it used to be a conversation of 2 to 6 was like, it could change hands at any time. I think we were talking about last Thursday on Insider was I think it's now expanded to 7.
It's expanded to 7.
2 to 7.
Yeah.
And shout out also to Weyburn. We'll get to Weyburn in a sec. They have really cemented themselves in that 8 spot as well. So it's getting really tight, and I love how a big weekend for any of those teams could lead to a big swing in the standings. But let's get back to individual teams here for a sec. And Rory, if you don't mind me throwing it to Humboldt for a minute, they had an interesting weekend as well, and some really interesting stats with Melfort, and I'll let you get to that after the Saturday game, of course. But what about Humboldt's weekend? What did you see?
It's kind of funny. A 6-3 win over the Melville Millionaires on Friday, and then a 4-1 loss against the Melfort Mustangs on Saturday. I think if you go over the tape, they might like the Saturday game more than the Friday game.
Interesting.
Just the way, how competitive it was against Melfort. They were out shooting them at 15-4 at one point in the first period. But the Mustangs, they capitalized on their chances. And they took over on a big power play goal to stretch it to 3-0 in the first period. Ben Tkachuk's been absolutely insane over the past month. 20 points in the last 15 games for Ben Tkachuk. He was the difference maker along with Clark Huxley and James Venn, who now is 4-0-1 in his last 5 games. So points in his last 5, stopped 37 of 38. But on Friday, the Broncos, they kind of fell into a habit game where, like, for parts of it, taking control. And then bad habit here, bad habit there.
Right.
It just allowed Melville to kind of stick around. I think they're going to want to try to address that and throw those habits out, or at least recorrect them, and they look to do that in the Melfort game, but the bounces went the way of the Mustangs, and you just got to give them credit. We talked about Flin Flon. It's hard to beat Melfort at the Northern Lights Palace. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, really hard.
Well, and well coached, good system, good structure. Everything about Melfort kind of
Best
streams that way.
Best 6 defense, I think, in the league. I don't know if it's arguable right now.
I don't think you could put up a huge argument about that.
Yeah.
Melfort has a very deep blue line. And speaking of, they played Melville on Friday. Melville also faced Battlefords, and I guess, Jamie, if I can throw to you, Battleford's playing Melville and Yorkton over the weekend. What did you see in those games from Battlefords? Obviously, they came off of a bit of a weird stretch there where some stuff happened. They had some illness going on throughout the team. They lost their game. What's going on? But Battlefords, I think last week on the show, when I was looking back at last week's show, I think the question came up, is there concern in Battlefords? Because they simply lost 1 game. But I think they kind of bounced back a little bit, got healthier.
If you kept watching on that show, I said no concern.
Yeah, no, I know.
Whatsoever.
You weren't trying to ring a bell for anything, I know.
Curious. Ring a bell. There you go. Shout out Marty Martin.
Marty.
There you go. I was interested to see how Humboldt would respond to beating Battlefords as they did the week before, and I was interested to see how Battlefords would respond to some adversity. Because remember, we were talking Rory, about when is this adversity going to come for Battlefords, and Braden Klamosko's guys handle it well. Well, they outscored LaRange, Yorkton, and Melville 20-7.
Decent
over the week. So I think that's pretty good. I think we got to shout out Zane Florence. Like, we talk about underrated players. He's been really, really good. And people say, oh, wasn't he a forward? He was a forward for a year, but he was recruited out of U18 as a D-man. So the fact that he's letting it up as a D-man just speaks to even more depth on the back end there for Battlefords. And of course, Dole and Bell and Southgate and all those guys back seem healthy again. And obviously, illness has hit everybody. Injury has hit everybody this year. Those guys are back. It doesn't seem like a problem. Dole is on pace for 99 points. Kean Bell is on pace for a goal per game still. It's all totally fine in Battlefords. If there's a tiny chink in the armor, just a tiny chink. The only thing is, like, Josh Cote hasn't been as unbeatable as he was to start the year, but he was ridiculous to start the year. That's the only thing that maybe Battleford's like, I wish he was playing lights out. Like
I think you mentioned sustainability a couple minutes ago, and that maybe plays into Cote a little bit. Not that he can't get back to where he was.
Tremendous goalie, tremendous. I'm not taking anything away from him, but
every goalie has a day or two.
Not too many teams have held Kean Bell off the scoreboard, and people weren't again this past week. And I think Estevan and Humboldt maybe about the only teams. Weyburn maybe 3 games I think all year that Kean Bell hasn't scored a goal for Battleford.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely bananas, and so big time kudos. And I had no concern for Battleford's and a couple big wins over teams. No disrespect to Yorkton and Melville. Battleford needs to be beating Yorkton and Melville. No disrespect. But they took care of business.
And I mean, losses are good. Like, they're not good. But you talked to Brendan Klamosko and he said, you know what, it's now past it, and we can focus on what we're doing right, which led us to this winning streak. And I'm watching a documentary right now. It is old, but it's called Man in the Arena, the Tom Brady documentary, right? Yeah. So back in 2005, the Patriots won 21 straight games from one season through the playoffs into the next season. And they're just talking, Bill Belichick can't come in and after win after win after win and try to preach something that he saw, right? It gets hard as a coach to do that. So 3 losses in 4 games for the Battleford North Stars. Brendan Klamosko can now address what they need to do to get back to the winning ways, and they did that this weekend. But I know that coaching staff will take way more from a loss than they will a 31-game win streak.
Yeah, so. It definitely doesn't hurt to not lose your first game in the playoffs, I think. You know what I mean? I think you definitely can. There's a lot of tape you can look at and be like, hey, these are the mistakes. Hey, look, guys, we made mistakes. It's how we fix them, stuff like that. If we can talk quickly about the Weyburn Red Wings. I mean, these guys are on fire. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, they've really put a stamp on that 8th spot in the playoffs, whereas they were battling for it before. And, it's not that it's necessarily in stone, but they've definitely put themselves, they made a statement. They're 7-2-1 in the last 10 games, I think. And if you look at their last 3 games, Kindersley, a loss to Melfort in overtime, and Kindersley again, but the scoring is well distributed amongst the team, and there's a couple of guys who are playing really well, but a lot of guys are finding themselves in the score sheet, and we'll talk about one after our interview with Braxton Buckberger in a few minutes here. But I don't know, Rory, if I can throw it to you, maybe Weyburn, these guys have turned a little bit of a corner here. Great
way to say it. I've never seen a team develop as much as they have over the course of during a season.
Yeah.
You could see teams that, they might be a year away, they get some pieces in, players get a great offseason, a little bit older, and next year they're good, right?
Yep.
Weyburn, Jacob Kalin, Lucas Jeffries, Nicholas Kovacs. These guys, when you start the season, they're not at the top of the scoring lead, and they're outstanding now. They're playing well as a team. Their defense is sharpened up.
Yep.
Their goaltending, although it's a little rotation, as long as they're winning games, who cares who's in the net?
A couple 18-year-olds too,
Mitchell,
right?
Matt Shephoister.
Yeah.
Cody Mapes has done a good job to really get this team dialed in after what looked like could be another troubling season, and it's not anymore. I give a lot of credit to Cody Mapes and that coaching staff, but the players have bought in, and the players have really developed over the course of the season, and that's what's impressive to me.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I also think there's no but.
Ellipses.
There's no but. What I'd like to add is that, and I know Cody Mapes, I talk to him relatively often enough to know that he would say it's very important, and this is going to sound dumb, it's very important to have your best players in the lineup, and you roll with the guys that you believe in. And you talk about, he brought in Riley Morgan from L'Orange, and he's been a huge addition.
Yep.
He brought in Mateo Turin. When Mateo Turin is in there, he's huge, and he crushes people.
I think about a point per game, too, on the score sheet.
Yeah, he's a weapon. And then you have Ian Mayer back there healthy. You have Dazza Mitchell and Shep Oyster, 2 goalies he believes in. So my point is that Cody Mapes has players that he likes now. No disrespect to anybody in the past, but Ty Mason obviously always liked him. What's not to like about Ty Mason? Then you go down the list, it's all about having the talent healthy and in the roster and the lineup. And also, if you look at it, from that playoff race, is it in stone? I mean, Weyburn has 5 points ahead of Notre Dame for sure, but Notre Dame has a bunch of games in hand, and there's going to be there's 3 games the rest of the year between Notre Dame and Weyburn. those are going to be spicy. In Radville at the neutral site game, it was spicy. It was
Little bit of extra
entertainment.
pepper on those
It was
ones,
awesome.
huh?
Little pepper on the wings. I was calling the game from the penalty box, and I could feel that intensity. And you know what? It's going to be fun the rest of the year when those two do battle, because it does look a little bit like, in this famous last words, like maybe Yorkton, Melville, and Kindersley are falling off the pace just a touch from those two. But it's going to be interesting between those two the rest of the way for sure.
Awesome. Well, a couple more news and notes here before we get to our highlight of the week. Carson Bayless hat-trick over, I think it was on Friday night, right? Nice performance by him. Do you want to quickly touch on that?
Against his old pals there in Kindersley. Carson Bayless now has 5 goals in the last 3 games after a little bit of a scoreless slump. By the way, Carson Bayless loves scoring against L'Orange. He always seems to do it. But he'd been snake bit against his old pals there in Kindersley and took all sorts of pictures of him talking to his buddies in the pregame. Like, oh, what kind of game is Carson going to have? And then just a stone-cold killer goes out there and snipes
I like
3.
the play-by-play call on him.
Oh yeah, the knife salesman. There you go.
That's a great nickname.
Well, the reason why I call him it,
knives and dices on the ice as well.
yeah, he literally sells knives also. So there's that. But,
it's legitimate. That's a real nickname.
He literally sells knives. Yeah. So there's that.
I think it works 2 ways.
Yeah,
Put on the ice
and
as
just
well.
a great performance from Johan Tremblay-Cow in the net. You know, the Hounds, you mentioned it, the revenge you were talking about. The Hounds, one of their worst, if not their worst performance of the year on Wednesday night at home against Kindersley. And give the Clippers credit, Logan Linklater was flying. He looks like he's back to his usual powers. Tylen Hilbig is very happy about Logan Linklater being back.
I was going to mention Tylen Hilbig, 7 points this week in 4 games. Put a really good conversation for MVP of the week, and we'll get to that in a little bit here, but I just wanted to mention him as well. And also, last one before we hit the highlight here, Jackson Martin, 7 points in 7 games since joining the Melville Millionaires.
He hasn't hung his head at all, has he? He's just picked it up and
6
showing his
goals,
character and really playing well for Melville, which for him going from Flin Flon, that's all he's known in the SJHL, to Melville, who, as Jamie said, is falling off the pace a bit. They're not out of it.
No.
Don't get me wrong. They're not out of it.
Definitely not in this league.
Yeah, but they are falling off the pace a bit. But Martins has just put his hard hat on and gone to work, and I can't applaud him more for that. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Who better to replace a point-per-game player like Zach Kane was in Melville than a point-per-game player in Jackson Martin? So shout out to him. I just wanted to give a quick shout-out. Let's hit the Tourism Sask highlight of the week now. And this week, it is courtesy of, we'll be talking about this guy in a little bit with the showcase coming up, Ty Mason from the Weyburn Red Wings from this past weekend. Let's have a look.
Red Wings penalty to number 7, Lucas Jeffries, 2 minutes for tripping. That's Jeffries for tripping. Here's Ty Mason, in a low short-handed, and he scores! What a goal by Ty Mason! Outdances everybody, and the short-handed goal gets the Red Wings ahead. What a beauty that was! 9 seconds into the penalty kill, and the local boys got the crowd fired up with...
The reason I wanted to put that in as a highlight of the week so bad is because Nick Nielsen goes from saying Lucas Jeffries 2 minutes for high sticking, and he scores! And then he hit a great goal call.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure we gave Nick a shout.
And then probably right back to goal scored by number 7.
Because he does the in-arena, multi-talented. And we were talking earlier, like Ty Mason just did that. We were talking about how good Melford's decor is.
Yes.
He just tap danced Melford's decor.
He went around everybody.
Impressive.
Yeah, so I had to give a bit of love to the Weyburn Red Wings, Ty Mason, for that one, and Nick Nielsen. Shout out to Nick. We're going to hit a commercial break here. You're watching SJHL Weekly on all the SJHL social media platforms. When we come back, it'll be Braxton Buckberger of the Nipawin Hawks. See you in a few minutes.
Get red and ready with Case IH and Young's equipment. From Case IH combines to MacDon headers, Young's carries all the best in new or pre-owned harvest equipment. With field-ready, industry-leading equipment and highly dedicated service staff, we're here when you need us most. Come experience our award-winning service for yourself and visit youngs.ca to find your nearest Young's equipment location.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at sasktel.com/fresh start.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Give me more, yeah. Give me more. You got that thing that I'm looking for. Yeah, give me more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
Capital Auto Mall is a proud partner of the SJHL, supporting the rich traditions and proud future of junior hockey in Saskatchewan. Capital Auto Mall, on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
All right, welcome back to SJHL Weekly. I am Clark Munroe, sitting in for the wonderful, lovely Jeremy Corrigan, who is on the road to the SJHL MJHL Showcase in Winnipeg as we speak, sitting in a car with Commissioner Kyle and Director of Marketing Jacob Faith.
What do you think they're listening to?
I think they're watching the show.
Oh, they're watching the show right now?
Yeah, I think
that
so.
That makes sense. They should be.
Yeah, so I hope they would be.
Hope so.
Please tune in, Kyle and Jacob and Jeremy. I'm pretty sure they're watching.
Yeah.
But we're going to head out on the video chat line now up to Nipawin, and as we are joined now by forward Braxton Buckberger. Braxton, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Now, you guys have had a bit of a stretch here. We've been talking a lot in the last couple of weeks about you guys, how hot you've been since the Christmas break. The last week, you saw Yorkton earlier in the week, and then a couple of games against L'Orange. Can you talk to us a little bit about the week that was for the Nipawin Hawks?
Yeah, the game against Yorkton was definitely a good one. It was a good win at home. And then we went into L'Orange on, I think, 6-game heater and played a good game there. And unfortunately, with a couple minutes left in the game, a couple missed assignments, and the game falls away from you that quickly. So it just goes to show how you have to play a full 60 minutes in our league. And then back home here on Saturday, their goalie played amazing and stopped quite a few shots. And yeah, it was just one of those nights.
For sure, yeah. Well, Braxton, kudos to you for setting yourself nicely framed and everything in the shot. Though
He's a real pro.
He's a real pro. Producer Clark is a real TV producer, and I'm sure he's impressed. So good for you, Braxton.
Very impressed
for getting that going. I got to ask you, Braxton. Everybody knows by now. Obviously, Tad Kozin took over for Doug Johnson middle of last year, and just the way that Doug Johnson wanted the Hawks to play versus the way that Tad Kozin seems to want you guys to play just seems so different. So just talk about that process of playing Tad Kozin's way. Not that it's all about Tad, obviously, but just talk about that transition. Maybe if you could spell it out, what it looks like from your perspective as well. What might that look like for you guys?
Well, yeah, definitely Tad's done a great job changing our program around in the last year, and he has us focusing on playing with a lot of speed. And I know our forward crew and defensively we're playing with a lot of pace, and a lot of teams in this league can't skate with us. And I feel like that's been the main focus for us. And yeah, he's got us to all buy into the system, and I think we're a fast team. And yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Braxton. Of course, at the start of the season, maybe a lot of people are saying Nipawin Hawks, they got a lot of great pieces, but maybe they're a year away. Nope, you proved them all wrong. It's this year. And not only that, over the last 15 games, you guys have now proven you're not trying to flirt with a playoff line. You can beat the best in the league. What's it like kind of becoming a team throughout the season that now has this belief that you go up against Battlefords or Humboldt or L'Orange that you're going to be right in there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we can compete with anyone in the league. I think we've shown that we've had close games with everyone, and now it's just the point where we got to bear down and finish the games off and start beating these high-end teams. And I think we're right up there with all of them. We know we can play with them, and we've outplayed quite a few teams this year and haven't got the results we've wanted. But yeah, it's definitely nice to go into the last part of the year with confidence and believing in ourselves.
What's been the biggest proponent, though, towards getting to that spot where you do believe in yourself? How, throughout the season, what's kind of led to that?
We've honestly just every day at practice setting the tone and playing fast and coming to the rink trying to get better every day. And we do a good job. We have good our coaches both run great practices. And I don't know, I think everyone's always working their hardest in practice. And yeah, for sure. That's the biggest part about it. And then just here in the new year, gaining confidence through a winning streak definitely has our team playing on a different level.
Braxton, about midway through the season, the team added goaltender Jackson Fellner, and then just more recently, Damon Cunningham came over. What have those two goalies meant for your squad, both in practice maybe, and then obviously in game as well? Obviously, it seems like maybe a bit of a turning point came around midway through when those goalies were added to the team. What do you have to say about that?
Oh yeah, they've both been nothing short of awesome. Like, it's just nice having a lot of confidence in whoever's in net, and we're getting saves right now that we haven't been getting over the past couple of years, and big saves that keep us in games and that have been winning us games. And they both bring it in practice, and they make everyone better. And it's just nice having that confidence in your goaltending.
Yeah, for sure. And, I also want to ask you, Braxton, about your family. Your dad, a former pro. I'm sure there's lots to learn from him. Your twin brother, Boston, getting the chance to win a Junior A National Championship back in Saskatchewan with the Brooks Bandits a year ago. And, of course, coming to the University of Wisconsin. And a little brother, Ronan, who's a Nipawin draft pick and a Swift Current Broncos draft pick, too. Just talk about the hockey family that is the Buckbergers, learning from each other, playing together. Maybe what you learned from your dad even more, maybe, as he's a former pro. What was that like growing up?
It was awesome. My dad coached me and my brothers growing up, and to this day, after most games, he's got coaching pointers for me stuff to work on. And yeah, it's always been so competitive around the house with my twin and my little brother, and we always push each other to get better every single day. So I enjoy it, and it's nothing short of awesome.
Braxton, all right, it's everyone's favorite segment for the interview process. It's now Rory's Rapid Fire.
Uh-oh.
I got 4 questions for you, quick, right? No train of thought, just fire out the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, obviously the NHL All-Star and Skills Competition is coming up soon. Fastest skater, hardest shot, accuracy. Who's winning it on the Nipawin Hawks?
Ooh, fastest skater.
You're allowed to say yourself. You're allowed to say yourself for any of these.
Fastest skater, I gotta say, who would that be? Probably McGuire Ratzlaff.
Ooh,
Ratzlaff.
And then hardest shot, I'd say Hudson Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the last one?
The accuracy shootout.
The accurate shot.
Accuracy. Joel Maben.
Joel Maben, Ratzlaff, and Cameron there.
Very diplomatic answers, too.
Yeah.
He didn't say anybody
Didn't say himself
he
either.
didn't say himself. It's a good teammate right there.
All right, man. Of course, your last name, Buckberger, everyone knows that. If there was an actual menu item called the Buckberger, what's on the Buckberger?
Ooh, probably just normal cheeseburger and then add something, probably lettuce, tomatoes, red onion. Or no, not red onion. Normal onion, and then
normal onion.
You could put either.
I don't know.
I think it'd be okay.
I don't know. To make it interesting, maybe dust that bun with some ketchup chips up on top.
Oh,
there we go.
That's
All right,
there we go.
We'll get in touch with the folks at the cage.
That's what the people at home wanted to hear. Right
we'll get in
there.
touch with the folks at the cage.
Braxton dropping a
We got to
bomb.
get that going.
Love it.
Dusted bun ketchup burger.
Let's
Wow.
go.
Okay, I like that answer. Final one for you here. You guys go on a hike in Nipawin. Which teammate's getting lost?
Rylan Lefebvre.
That didn't take very long for him to answer that.
No.
All right, that's all I got for you, Carl.
Awesome.
Braxton, before we let you, Jamie, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
Before we let you go, I guess the showcase is coming up over the next couple of days. I'm sure you and your teammates will be tuned in to check out Mcgouran, Ratzlaff, and Xander Stewart and Alex Johnson, who's now going. And then after that, of course, you guys are back into it, and it won't take you long. I think you got games on the weekend as well coming up. What's going forward a real big key for the Nipawin Hawks to really keep pushing yourselves up those standings?
I think the biggest thing for us is taking it day by day, coming to the rink every day and putting in good work in practice, and then getting our after practice stuff like skills work and our workouts in. And I think just like focusing, taking it like day by day at a time. I think that's the biggest. I think that's what's most important for us, because can't get too far ahead of ourselves.
Braxton, again, thank you so much for joining us. Me and Nugsy usually go out for a bite to eat after the show. I'm going to get them to crunch up some ketchup chips and put it on the burger. I'm trying the Buckberger today.
Oh.
All right?
We got to get a review next week.
That's right.
There you go.
All right, thanks, Braxton. We'll let you go. Thanks for joining us today, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
That was awesome.
Appreciate
that was
it.
Braxton Buckberger of, I wanted to say Bucksberger, I don't know why, of the Nipawin Hawks. Thanks for joining us again, Braxton. And, great kid, obviously. Great family like we talked about, so it's good to see. We're going to hit a quick break, and when we come back, we got a lot to get to. We got Players of the Week to announce. We got some lineup changes for the SJHL MJHL Showcase to announce. Say that 10 times fast, SJHL MJHL Showcase. And we also have an interesting segment. Well, we've done it before, buy it or sell it, which is going to get into the showcase as well. So we'll be right back in a couple minutes. You're watching SJHL Weekly on all of the SJHL social media platforms.
Way for the first ever Chevrolet Silverado ZR2. With Multimatic shocks, rugged 33-inch tires, and front and rear electronic locking differentials.
Dude, this is awesome, but we should get back to work. This good? Perfect.
If you're gonna work remote, work remote. Find new workspaces. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
You wouldn't take the ice without protective wear. So why would you take to the job site that way? The SCSA is proud to partner with the SJHL.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere, keeping you connected to your family and friends, to your history and culture, to those traditions that make us who we are. SaskTel cares, always has, always will, because we're dedicated to our home.
All right, welcome back to SJHL Weekly. I am Clark Munroe again, sitting in for the the studious Jeremy Corrigan, the scholarly Jeremy Corrigan. I'm trying to think of other words. Yeah, big words. He is on the road, of course, to the SJHL MJHL Showcase, as I've mentioned a couple times, and we're going to get into that shortly. But first, we have to announce this week's Players of the Week, and we're going to start with the SGEU MVP, a lot of letters, of the week, and we're going to head up to Melfort, to the Melfort Mustangs. Ben Tkachuk had a huge week for the Melfort Mustangs. Rory, do you mind giving us a little bit of insight on that?
Yeah, he was the propeller of the Mustangs in that 4-1 win over the Humboldt Broncos. 3 points in that game, setting up Clark Huxley with kind of the dagger in the third period on a beautiful saucer pass in the middle. But this guy, he's been on fire for longer than the week. 20 points in his last 15 games. Mr. 200, we call him, because he's all over the ice, defensively responsible. He'll hit you, he'll get in your face, and then he'll score on you to make it hurt even more. But the captain of the Melfort Mustangs, when he goes, we always talk about the goaltending and the defense, but when Tkachuk's on, the Mustangs are on. And he, I think he's kind of the heartbeat of that team, and he's on fire right now. So,
and he's a good interview, as seen recently on SJHL Weekly on all the social media platforms. Let's head to Defenseman of the Week for Super U. I'm going to throw this one over to Jamie. We'll get back to Melfort in a second, by the way. That's a little bit of a teaser. But Nicholas Kovacs of the Weyburn Red Wings having a great week this week. Deserved the recognition. Jamie, what do you have to say?
Yeah, we talk a lot about Ty Mason and Riley Morgan and the forwards for Weyburn, but the Weyburn D-core has really turned it around, and Nick Kovacs is a big part of that. We got 4 points. In that, getting offense from the defense for Weyburn is very, very important, and getting Kovacs involved there was big. He was part of that, that blew out a bit of a tired-looking Kindersley team, with no disrespect, on Saturday there in Weyburn. But again, Kindersley played 4 games last week.
Yeah, busy week.
It's a busy week. So Weyburn took advantage. You can only beat the team in front of you, and Kovacs did a good job of it, and so he's a deserved D-man of the week.
Let's head back to Melfort now for the SaskTel goaltender of the week. James Venn putting up some numbers. Rory, what do you have to say about James Venn?
37 of 38 on Saturday, and then even more impressive on Friday in Weyburn. Especially for a goaltender, they don't have Joel Favreau. They had 2 different AP call-ups on the weekend. They went down to Weyburn for a one-off, then got back probably at 3:30 in the morning to Melfort and played the Humboldt Broncos.
Those are always fun trips.
On Saturday. And James Venn, both victories, really outstanding throughout the month, and he's picked up points. He's 4-0-0-1 in his last 5 games. All his starts in a row, because Favreau's been out, so they can't go back and forth. And James Venn, it's just that. It's that ability when you have 1A, 1B goaltending to always have faith in who's back there, and Venn's proving that that's really a necessity in today's hockey, to have 2 capable ones.
Absolutely. Sure. And the only goalie with 3 wins this week, and we'll be seeing him at the showcase. We'll get to 100%. That in a second. Let's wrap it up with the Direct West Rookie of the Week. And this time we are heading up to L'Orange. Forward Jacob Causette is the Rookie of the Week. Jamie?
Yeah, local boy there to L'Orange, and when they got him from Spruce Grove in the Alberta League this year, I was really excited, because anybody who paid attention to the U18 League last year know that Jacob Causette is a lot of fun to watch. He's electric. He dominated U18 in Saskatchewan a year ago with PA, but it took him some time in the SJ to adjust to the situation in the system. Now he's playing with, another guy who dominated U18, Mason Buchert. They're like a good combo, and he got his first 2 multi-point games of the year up there for L'Orange in wins against Nipawin, and getting him going is a big piece, because as I said, I was very excited to see him. He was half point per game on an excellent Alberta team in Spruce Grove up there. So I'm not surprised that he's doing well, and I think it's a perfect fit for him, obviously being at home. So good for him.
Awesome. And so again, congrats to this week's winners. We got the SGU MVP of the week, Ben Tkachuk, the SaskTel goalie of the week, James Venn, the Direct West Rookie of the Week, Jacob Causette, and the Super U Defenseman of the Week, Nicholas Kovacs. Now, of course, we've been teasing it and talking about it pretty much all show. We're going to get into the showcase now, and we're going to start it off. There has been a couple of roster changes over the last week or so for all 3 teams, actually, I believe, maybe just 2 of them. But if we could put up the rosters, the full rosters as of right now, so we can just kind of adjust or see those adjustments that have been made. that would be great. This is we're looking for the full rosters. There it is. Thank you. That was the one. I know that he probably was confused because we also have your rosters.
Right?
Yeah. We also have your 2 rosters, but there has been some changes. They are highlighted on this list nicely. But do you guys want to just maybe touch on the guys who have been added? Now, Jamie, before we get into it, I noticed that your poll that was up a few weeks ago, which included Cam Herdlicka, Alex Johnson, and Walker Jerome, all 3 have been added to the team. So
not my first rodeo, folks.
Yeah. So I don't know, Jamie, do you want to touch on the changes?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one that I think caused the biggest stirs, or the 2 ones that caused the biggest stirs, were Walker Jerome. He's one of the top 10 leading scorers in the league. For him to not be there, and I did say, I think, someone's going to get hurt, something's going to happen. I think Walker will be there. You never know about goalies. Obviously, Joel Favreau, very unfortunate in Melfort that Cam Herdlicka jumps in for him, but Cam has been absolutely incredible. He was incredible up in Flin Flon, even though he gave up a bunch of goals, but there we talked about it, about 1,000 shots. So Cam was magic, unbelievable at the Whitney Forum. So not a big surprise there. Tylen Hilbig, coming in. I think we all wanted to see Jaden Mercier play at this event. I think he's one of the fun guys to watch. But he's got his commit, and he's not 100%. But happy for, as you said, Tylen Hilbig, local boy.
And what better week to kind of almost wrap that up with him having a great week this week as well. So big shout out to Tylen Hilbig too.
Yeah. So great to see there. And Alex Johnson has been money with Ratzlaff on his wing. And Silzer, filling in there for Casey Coyle, which we can talk about if you want. But there you go. And then obviously one change that wasn't mentioned, I guess, is the coaching change that Kevin Kaminski has pulled out for, I believe, Tad Kozin jumps in, but that's deserved. Obviously, Tad's done an awesome job. So all guys that definitely could have deserved to be there in the first place. I'm sure you would agree with that, Rory.
Yeah, I expected you to maybe take half and throw it to me, but now you know all the lineup.
Oh, sorry. You can talk about Ryland Silzer.
I'm joking.
Yes.
No, but there have been some changes. But what that leads to now, gentlemen, is that you guys have put together your proposed lines, the line combinations for each team. So we're going to kick it off. I think the first one on the list was Nugsie's under-18 team, the U18s. So if we could bring up Nugsie's U18 roster, I think it takes over the full screen. So we'll get into that, Rory, or Jamie, sorry, if you want to start talking about that. Give me your Team Blue U18s.
Yeah, so we went with Rory and I both went with the squads. There we go. So I don't think Rory and I will be overly different. Just one thing here or there, to be honest. But that top line is so much fun. I think that top line could be a top line on any team. Ty Mason and Zach Summers have that experience together at the National Aboriginal Tournament too for Team Saskatchewan. That won silver. Carter McKay was also on that team. I was trying to see how I could fit those 3 together, but you want Summers and Ash together as they are for Melfort all the time, and Melfort really does have 2 top lines as a result. Rory can talk more about the Roy Kim and Ben Blair combo. I don't know if those guys play together per se, but they're Humboldt guys. Put Allen and the Flin Flon guys, and it's just a solid team all the way through. Karsten Cater and Vinny Palmerine. I think that's just a totally complete pairing. The offensive Cater and the steady defensive maturity of Vinny Palmerine, and really exciting. So I think it's a very exciting team. I know, Rory, you're really high on just this group in general too.
I love the Young Guns team, and I think the leading scorer of the tournament might come from this team. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But
let's flip it over to Rory's. Or do you want to talk about Nugsie's?
No. It's basically the exact same thing.
There we go.
The only change I have is the 2 centermen on line 3 and line 4. We have swapped. Other than that, it's the exact same lineup. And the defensemen, I broke up Grill and Gibbs because they're both right shot D-men. So I went more right-left and put Cater with Gibbs, the 2 leading scoring rookie defensemen in the SJHL. Tanchuk and Grill got size, got speed, and then Silzer and Palmerine. You really can't go wrong with any order here. But the big thing, I wanted Summers and Ash together, of course. I think Ty Mason's a great compliment to them. I wanted the 3 Humboldt Broncos together. Van Blaircom and Kim do play on the same line. It's been Zilke in the middle. But Xavier Roy, he's been on line with Newens and Maddox Amaro, and that line's been on fire. So Roy centers the 2 Broncos. And then, you could really put the centerman anywhere, the wing anywhere on the 3 and 4. But this team is going to be fun to watch. I'm very, very excited for them. And I think Venn gets the start for the first game, and then we'll see Jamin in the second one. Unless they do a split at halftime.
They'll probably give each guy a full game, I would think.
But remember when everybody said, "Oh, right shot D, where can we find right shot D?" There's so many right shots on this team. Like it's all right. It's like it's hard to find left shots on that U18 team. So if college teams, if you're looking for right shot players, there's some amazing ones on that team.
The Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, we got the right shot.
We got what you want.
We'll work on this logo.
Well, actually, if you look at all three lineups on the defense, there's only one team that you have to pair two lefties together. Other than that, you have 3 right shots on the rookie team, 3 right shots on one of the vets, and then it's 4-2 left against right on the third team. So there's a lot of right-handed shotting defensemen.
That's good. Yeah. Doesn't hurt. Now let's have a look. I can't remember which team I put next. I think it's either it's yellow or white, or gold or white. But let's go with Nugsy's team. I think it's Team Yellow. So let's go with that one here. And Jamie, if you want to break down your Team Yellow U20 roster.
Yeah, so I mean, I think again the top 2 lines that pick themselves. I'd be stunned if Rory's top 2 lines were different. You can't take those guys away from each other. The question, what Riley Morgan with Walker Jerome, they were teammates in L'Orange, and then Steve Kesslering, that foot speed with Morgan, what a combo that could be. And Walker Jerome could just do the heavy work down low and get those 2 speed demons the puck. And you have Jackson Martins and Will Dawson, who are very similar guys. I think 200 foot, work down below the hash marks very well, and Sleva can fly. So it's a great 4 lines. I really like this team. Obviously, we talked about Melfort's decor. 4/6 of the decor is right there, and then you have maybe the best D-man in the league in Tynan Ewert with his regular partner Tanner Gold, and then maybe the 2 best goalies in the league. So it is a stacked team. I don't know what more to say. It's a phenomenal team.
There's really not much different from me. The Melfort D-men are staying together. Ewert and Gold are staying together. And up front, Bell, Dold, Southgate, you're not breaking that up. You're not breaking up Dugay, Tkachuk, LaRue. And then Jerome and Morgan, I have the exact same as you, except a little switch there. I have Martins in between them, a little 200-foot responsibility centerman who can also snipe the puck. Yeah. And you talk about speed. Well, you got Kesslering and Sleva who can both fly. And Dawson's no slouch as well. That kid can skate. So that 4th line brings a lot of grit and a lot of speed as well.
The interesting thing that I'll be watching for this team, obviously, you have the 2 premium centermen in the league, I guess, in Holden Dole and Ben Tkachuk. But really, you have only 3 sort of very regular centermen in the league. So you put Kesslering there in the middle. I put Walker Jerome in the middle just because I think those guys could play wherever. But there's only 3 like true centermen in this whole team. Usually, it's like in the All-Star teams, you have a whole bunch of centermen, and how do you fit them in? But obviously, these are such great players. But I'll ask you, Rory, that team you can chip in too for sure. Big face-off end of the game. Are you putting Ben Tkachuk or Holden Dole out there to take a big face-off?
From what I saw last night,
I plead the 5th.
On Saturday, Tkachuk. By a hair. He was unbelievable on the dot against the Broncos on Saturday. By a hair, not by much. Yeah. But Tkachuk for me right now,
Nice problem. I love it.
I'm going to give you an answer. I'm not going to plead the 5th.
I'm pleading the 5th.
You're pleading the 5th.
I'm going to play neutral.
Nice problem to have.
I'm going to play Switzerland on this one. Let's look at, I think we're going to head to Nugsy's Team White now, the other U20 team. Let's have a look. Nugsy, break it down.
Yeah, so the injury to Jaden Mercy screws up the combos for Flin Flon just a little bit, but I decided to keep Dupereau, Vauclair, Tremblay as a line, and then put Zach Kane with the 2 Humboldt guys. Obviously, Ethan Zilke, Rory, you watch him night in, night out. That kid could play with anybody in any line, in any situation, and thrive, in this league. I like the responsibility of Ceccarelli and Newens with Jacob Boucher, because Jacob Boucher can do things that very few, if anybody, in this league can do by himself. So put 2 kind of very responsible guys with him. And then, that 3rd line is bigger, and obviously Ratzlaff can really fly. So again, it's another great line. I broke up the Humboldt D. You broke up the Battlefords D on one of them, and I broke up the Humboldt D just because the Weigel and Barlagi are both right shot guys. I think Sitch is just slightly more defensive. He's having a great year offensively. He can play offensively, but Dalen Weigel is maybe now the best offensive defenseman in the league with Alex Blanchard gone. It could be argued. So put I think the best defensive defenseman in the league with the best offensive defenseman there in Weigel. And obviously it's just again the decors, especially on the vets teams, are all just stacked out of their minds. Obviously we're trying to be as stacked as we can as a league, but these are really, really stacked. Xander Stewart's having a remarkable year, and Alexa Babic has stepped up huge. And Dawson Smith, I think, is I would take him as the number 1 goalie right now in the SJHL. But Harmon Laser-Hume's having a great year too, Flin Flon. So again, it's a super team, very interesting.
Yeah, I guess this is the team that we've kind of differed the most on. I texted my lineups to Barnes, to Scott Barney, the head coach of the Broncos, right? And he's like, well, you got one right. I was like, that's not right or wrong. I was just
Tell me if I'm more right, Barnes. I'd love to hear it.
That's right.
There we go.
Hold on. I maybe convinced him to shake up one of the lines that he originally had. We will watch the showcase and we'll see if we can put my team back up there on the screen. The reason why I was trying to really push him is you mentioned Ethan Silke, who can play with anyone.
Yeah.
I want to see what Silke does with Dubrow and Tremblay. I think Silke and Tremblay are two of the best down-low puck-handling players in the SJHL. It's nearly impossible to take the puck off of Jeremy Tremblay's stick, and Dubrow has one of the best shots. So that line to me is one of the most dominating lines I've seen. So that's the one I was trying to convince Barnes to. I was like, well, toss Silke in between these two. Just see what happens for one shift. And we'll see if he listens to me. Probably not. And then I got Kane and Vockler, the two Flin Flon Bombers, paired them together with Boucher. There's a lot of offense there. Yeah. I kept the three Humboldt Broncos together a little different than you. I have Soretsky with Newins and Ceccarelli. And then our third line's exactly the same. Our fourth line, pardon me. As for the defensemen, I have Stewart and Weagle together instead of Sitch and Weagle because I like the combination of Sitch and Barloggy together. You know, they play each other, well, it used to be 10 times a game for the last
They've played each other 1,000 times.
So I think they're probably familiar with each other's styles and they'll complement well. Stewart and Weagle might put up 100 points together. Yeah. And then Richmond and Babbitt are, they can shut down anyone. They can play on the power play. And I would agree with you as well. I think Dawson Smith's the best goaltender in the SJHL right now.
Dang. All right. Well, those are always fun conversations to have. I love talking about line combinations, especially in an all-star format where there's really no wrong answers. No. They're all very good players.
I wonder which coach is going to be putting the lines in the blender the most. Like, you start with Dole, Southgate, and Bell. Does it happen because it's an all-star format? Do you toss in Kachuk in there? I don't know.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay, man.
Here's a question, and getting into the weeds. Here we go. Braden Klamosko and the Battlefords North Stars play Notre Dame Thursday night in Wilcox. Does he somehow coach a little bit differently on the Wednesday because a lot of his guys have to play on the Thursday?
So you're saying he benches them?
Not bench, but does it either consciously? Not benching, obviously.
Wait, is he coaching Jared Sitch's
I just think it's a bizarre. No, it's the other way. He's coaching Will Dawson.
So Dawson's getting 42 minutes that night.
Maybe. But you know what? Will would love that. If Will Dawson could not come off the ice for 60 minutes, then Will would be fine with that. I know Will Dawson very well. He would love that.
He is double shifting.
So you go for that. Don't do it.
Of course, this tournament, the showcase starts off tomorrow. If you're watching this on Monday, of course, it starts off tomorrow. Games are at 12, 3, and 6. The 20U games are the 12 and the 3 games, and then the 18U gets the prime time game at 6 o'clock. And then on Wednesday, it's 11, 2, and 5.
So excited.
Yeah, so it's going to be a ton of fun. Great. Now, with that in mind, there are 6 games coming up. So we're going to kick off the next segment that we're going to call Buy It or Sell It. We've done it many times on the show. You've seen these guys battle it out before. Our first Buy It or Sell It question is going to be, will the SJHL win 4 of the 6 games? So you're buying that they'll win 4 or more, or you're selling that they won't quite win 4. So I'll start with Rory because Rory's itching to get going over.
Yeah, we'll alternate. So you can take the second question next. I'm buying this for sure. The last showcase we had was in 2020 in Saskatchewan, obviously.
Yeah, 3 years. We forgot to mention. It's been that long.
First time in 3 years. MJHL took 4 out of the 6 games in Saskatchewan. Ooh. So I'm going to buy it. I think it's a little revenge. I really, really like the Saskatchewan teams. I know the MJ is going to be bringing it as well, but I will buy it that the MJ wins at least 4 out of the 6 games, yes.
Okay. Jamie?
Yeah, you mean that the SJ is going to win 4.
Did I say MJ?
Yeah.
SJ, sorry, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
Freudian slip.
I'm buying it too. I think, Kyle McIntyre has said, you know what, we're just going to send our best teams, no matter commitments, major, junior, yada, yada, yada. And I just think, I love the way that the MJ is run. I still think that the SJ is slightly a bit of a better league, top to bottom. If I'm throwing fire, then so be it. But
buy it or sell it.
I buy it. I buy it. Buy it 100%.
The topic that we're going to get to next for number 2 on Buy It or Sell It, and we'll start with Jamie this time, is will Battlefords have the top scorer at the showcase? Battlefords. They have a lot of options. Right There's a lot of options there for them. Yeah. So will one of them lead the showcase in scoring?
I'm going to sell it just because it's either Battlefords or the field.
You take the field, yeah.
So I'm going to take the field. Obviously, who's stopping Kean Bell right now from scoring at the junior A level? I don't know who is, but so maybe I'm talking myself out of it. But I'm going to sell it just because I'm taking the field.
So far, we're back-to-back agreeing, and it is because I'm just going to take the odds on this one, right? If I'm buying a stock, I want something that has a high percentage to, grow.
Yeah.
Last time Showcase 2020, Tristan Shuchuk led the tournament with 5 points. He was not, thought he was a great player, but coming to the Showcase, would you have listed him as the best player of the Showcase? Probably not. Right? So was he the top scorer of the SJHL at that point? No, he wasn't.
No.
So I think just there's so many talented players, and with only 10, I believe, North Stars going, and a total of, 55 in the league, I'm just going to take the field as well. I'm going to sell it.
Taking the odds. On that note, you mentioned the leading score from last time. Will the leading score in this tournament, now I keep saying tournament, Showcase, I guess it could be from either side of the map, but will they have more than that 5 points that the last leading scorer had at the Showcase? We'll go to that one next. I think it was probably later on that I told you guys, but I'm going to move it because you just mentioned it. So will the leading scorer of this Showcase have 5 or I guess more than 5 points? Let's go. Buy it more than 5, sell it 5 or less.
The line's at 5.5.
5.5.
That pushes. I thought it was a 4.5.
No, he's got to either beat it or not beat it.
I still love
whoever it is.
I still love goal scoring. I love points. Let's buy it. I think 6 points. And I'll even make a go deeper prediction. I think it's going to be Zach Summers.
Oh,
I say Zach Summers, 6 points.
You're going
3
specific.
3 points per game. 6
well, that just makes your last buy it or sell it even more because you said a Melfort Mustang. So you're taking the field, and not only are you taking the field, you're picking a guy.
I'm picking a guy.
Jamie, buy it or sell it. 6 points or more.
We're going to disagree here. I'm going to sell it because most coaches in this league and most coaches in hockey play their top 2 lines more than their bottom 2 lines. That's just the way things usually go. These coaches, even though I was kind of joking about Klamosko trying to kill Will Dawson, these coaches are just going to roll and roll and roll and roll. There's so much quality to go around.
Yeah.
I think it'll be hard for somebody to get that many points.
Power play too,
so I think it'll be really. I think in 2 games it'll be too tough to do that. So I'm gonna sell it. But I wouldn't be crazy surprised if it happens. But I'm gonna sell it.
Okay. Well, that in mind, we're going to go to the over-under of the goals in the tournament next. Because now this was actually yours, Rory, I think. You've set it at an average of 6 goals per game as the over-under. So I'm going to put the line at 35.5 goals. So that means that if it's buying it, you think there's going to be more than 6 goals a game. Selling it, you think there's going to be less. I'll start with Rory because this is kind of your question.
I'm going to buy it as well. Last Showcase, which I'm just going off of apparently for every question, there's 41. However, the final game of the tournament was an 8-6 victory.
Okay.
Right? So if that's a 3-2 game, now there's only 31 goals scored. So that was really what pushed them over the top. I think goal scoring and the talent on both these teams, or all 6 teams, I should say, is at a premium. I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to think it's not going to be much over because I don't see there being like a 9-8 game or something like that, but 37-38 goals. Just over, I'm going to buy it.
I don't mind it. A lot of entertainment. Jamie?
Yeah. Oh man, I struggled with this because the reason why I struggled with it the most is because they're actually practicing. Like they're going to practice a few systems, a few structures here and there. But I'm going to take the over just because of the precedence of history, as Rory said. 41 goals in 2020, 43 goals the year before that. So just all sorts of firepower and the way that hockey is these days. I mean, it's like again, they have one practice. It's not going to be lockdown defense.
I think they're just going to do like a shooting. Horseshoe shooting drill and then get off the
So we'll see. Like I'm going to buy the over and not just over. I think actually a bit over, a bit more than just a bit over. But yeah, like around that like 41, 42 range again.
I guess for the next one, you kind of already answered this one, but the leading scorer at this tournament will be from the 18U team. Go ahead and just say it again.
I will buy it. I think it's Zach Summers. And the reason why is I think defensive goaltending matures a little bit more with age. I know it's only a year, but a year's huge, right? And this Young Guns team is so stacked. This is a game that might put up an 8-6 final, right? And I think the leading score will come from the Young Guns team.
There you go.
SJHL, yes.
And yeah, exactly. Like you said, kind of the maturity levels. It could lead to a little bit more of a sporadic game.
As you said, like they're practicing once, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of goals. So I think that maturity level of defensive goaltending really will help give a better shot to the Young Guns team to have the leading scorer of the tournament.
Jamie?
Yeah, I mean,
it's tough because one team doesn't play the other team, right? Like the 18s only play the 18s, whereas
I think, I think Yeah, I think I'm gonna buy it. Like I think either Zach Summers or Ash, just because they have the familiarity with each other, and yeah, they're just so awesome. Like you watch those two guys, they're such a problem. They're just as much of a problem as that 20-year-old line we were talking about with Tkachuk and Huxley and Leroux. You can't just put your bottom pair against that group of young kids there with Summers and Ash. Like they're 1A 1B top line for Melfort too. So just because of the familiarity there, I'm gonna take that. Yeah.
And with the last one we got here, at least for now, if you guys have any others that have popped up in your head since we started this, I think we have some time, so let's feel free to dive in. But the last one is, I think you'll both say yes to this. I think you're gonna buy it. That there will be I'm gonna say 3 or more commitments within 2 weeks of the showcase. Within 2 weeks, that's the parameter we've set.
That's the catalyst there. That is the catalyst.
Now, this maybe we could extend it in your discussion with it, but let's just start with it from here, and then we can talk about it. 3 commitments or more is a buy it, or I guess less than 3 is a sell it within 2 weeks. Again, the parameters could be changed.
2 weeks
I'm not too solid on
2
that.
weeks is tough. I'm gonna sell it just because it's 2 weeks.
Just 'cause it's 2 weeks.
I don't know that. Like the showcase will definitely put people on radars.
Yes.
But just because it's the 2 weeks part, I'm gonna sell it.
What if it was a month?
Still? That's closer now. That's pretty good. I might buy it if it's a month.
I'm still gonna sell it. I mean, there's a decent amount of committed players already coming to this thing on both sides too. So it's not like I don't think it's gonna be a great event, because it's gonna be a great event. But like, who can you see like coming out of it? Like there's a Vinny Palmerine. There's like a Ty Mason if he's not if he's going the college route. I'm sure he'll get a lot of interest. Van Blaricom. So yeah, maybe I'm talking myself into it. Okay, I'll buy it. I changed my mind. Yes. Tim Kim. Someone jump on Tim Kim. Boy, is that kid electric! Wow.
I'm gonna not change my mind.
Yeah.
In the middle.
Change my mind in the middle.
I'm still gonna sell it. Look, and I always want to be the optimistic when it comes to how many not sponsorships. What am I trying to say? Commitments.
In a way.
That the players in the SJHL get. And look, there's going to be 15 minimum that stem from what the scouts see at the showcase.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, it's tough because, unless it's an NCAA Division I opportunity that they can't pass up, right? That's when it'll come immediately, right? But the players are going to take time to think of it. If they get a Division III offer, right, which is amazing for them, they're going to take some time to think of it. There's WHL players going now, right? So they have their schooling, chance for U Sports, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But they have time to think about it.
Right.
So I think we're going to see 15 to 20 of what these scouts see at the showcase, just not in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just because it's a big life decision.
Yeah. And there's a lot that happen.
You cannot pass up, right?
Yeah.
Then I don't think it's going to happen in the first 2 weeks.
And there's a lot that happen after the season's over as well, into the early parts of the summer. So either way, like you said, I think that there's going to be a lot of eyes opened in this one. I think there's going to be a lot that come out of this
if it's
eventually.
a month, though, I might buy it.
Okay.
I might buy it.
Well, like I said, I'm not too firm on the 2 week thing. So
I do got one more buy to sell for you.
Okay.
You mentioned that Kyle McIntyre, Jacob Faith, and Jeremy Corrigan are all driving to Winnipeg right now for the SJMJ Showcase.
Yep.
Buy it or sell it that Kyle McIntyre is in control of the stereo, of the music choice. He gets control of the range. He buying or selling it.
I'm going to buy that, and I'm also going to put the over/under at stops along the way at like 6.5. And I think I was told that, and I hope I'm not calling you out here, Kyle, but I was told that he thought it took 7 hours to get to Winnipeg from here. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. So I'm
maybe from Swift Current.
Maybe from Swift Current. Maybe that's what he was going off of. So I'll give him a little bit of credit, but I'm just going to say that maybe he's a frequent stopper, and I hope I'm not calling you out here, Kyle.
So there's no chance you think that Faither gets the music choice?
I think Kyle's the one driving.
Yeah, I could see them listening to like Howard Stern or something like that. Maybe not even listening to music. Well, this one for sure.
Daddy's a big podcast.
They're watching this show for sure, and then after that, I guess it depends. But that's a good one. I think he has control over it, and I'm thinking they're going to turn into a podcast.
Podcast with 6 stops along the way.
Yeah.
Sounds like a blast.
Again, hopefully we're not calling Kyle out here, but I think we're all having fun here. Anyways, gentlemen, is there anything else coming up that you guys want to touch on, and anything coming up on the weekend? I mean, Jamie, you're the first game back on the Thursday night. Is there anything else after that's coming up, or do you want to touch on that Thursday game?
Well, 11, what is it, we said 10 or 11 Battlefords North Stars in this thing, and then they have to play in Wilcox, the big ice. They're
People don't know the bus that the Battleford's North Star's in is with the Broncos and the Melfort Mustangs. They're all going together to the showcase.
Oh.
So Battleford's that bus is going to get back to Regina at probably 5:30, 6 in the morning on Thursday.
Interesting.
Right? So you play Thursday night.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if the Battleford's players are going to get dropped off in Regina, then the rest of them come and meet them there. If they have to go all the way back to the Battleford's and then all the way back to Wilcox, that's a lot of travel.
I should say it's a makeup game because of the weather. They didn't plan on doing it like this.
It was a
it's a makeup game. But I mean, look, this is such a deep veteran Battleford's team. They'll be fine. Like the Hounds players, they're going to have to bring their A game to beat Battleford's. It's a big 2 points for the Hounds, even bigger, you might even argue, than for Battleford. So we'll see how the Hounds come out. From a Notre Dame perspective, I find it a little bit frustrating that they had to get crushed by Kindersley in order to show up the next 2 days later to beat Kindersley. Like that was a little bit of a frustrating thing on Wednesday. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. My point is, even with that travel, I just do not know what to expect on Thursday. That's all I'm saying.
Well, once it gets back rolling, it gets back rolling. There's games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday going into the weekend. So a lot to look forward to. And if you want to drive to a game in a non-conventional way, make sure you head over to sjhlraffle.ca and get your tickets for the SJHL side-by-side from Polaris. Jeremy usually has way better ways to get into that, but do you want to get to a game in a non-conventional way? Because this is a great way to do it. Head to sjhlraffle.ca. All the information is there. Get your tickets. The draw is on Thursday, April 27th, live on a live edition of SJHL Insider, might I add. So that'll be exciting. So make sure you tune in for that. But get your tickets now. I know that they're selling fast. And if Kyle and Jacob are listening, maybe they'll give us an update soon. But I know that it's going well. So make sure you get your tickets for that. Multiple tickets. You can get more than one. I know you just had a birthday recently in your in your close-knit group.
Yes.
Did you get them SJHL raffle tickets for the birthday?
Certainly did. Certainly.
Thank you for saying that.
Absolutely.
My wife's birthday is coming up as well. So I mean, it's a great birthday gift.
Of course, me and Nugsy were part of the showcase. One last point here, back in 2020, right? We know it takes a village to run that. So just best of luck to the MJHL, the volunteers out there.
They could use a Polaris side-by-side to rip around the rink to get everything set up.
100%. Get some tickets onto that, right?
There you go.
But
for next year,
it takes a village. It is a lot of work to put it together. So best of luck and them for putting on a great show. Best of luck to all the players, the coaches. I know Skip's one of the trainers going for the Humboldt Broncos. I really hope he doesn't pull his last remaining hairs out of his head trying to put together all the trainer stuff for a bunch of teams. So I just wish everyone has a great time because it's a really great event for the players, for the leagues, and have fun out there.
Absolutely.
It's a big moment.
Absolutely. Well, thank you once again. We're going to give another shout out to our sponsors, of course, because without them, none of this is possible. Chevrolet, Capital Auto Mall, Cantera Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGEU, Direct West Tourism, Saskatchewan, SGI, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Young's Equipment. Thanks to everybody there. If you have missed anything this week, or if you want to stay up to date on everything showcase related, head over to sjhl.ca or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Make sure you head over to YouTube and subscribe, please. Subscribe. We're on the road. We got to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. We're growing the page, and we're trying to get it there. A lot of content over there, so head over and hit subscribe and everything else.
Some more recipes like the Buckberger will be up over 1,000.
Well, geez, now we're getting a cooking show here. It's going to be
hungry. Let's go get
It's going to be cooking with Neugs, and we're going to cooking in the Neugs is what it's going to be called.
You can get some knives from Carson Bayless. Right. That's how I got this. That's how I got this cut on my thumb. Actually, the knife that Carson Bayless sold me. I was cutting some chicken. Boom.
The Braxton Buckberger is going to be the first episode of the new series, Cooking Within the Neugs. Anyways, we'll forget about that for now. But Jeremy Corrigan will be back at the next episode of SJHL Insider later this week. We'll do a full recap of the showcase. And until then, I'm Clark Munroe for IKS Media, and we'll see you on the website, sjhl.ca, and everywhere else. It's going to be a busy week, so stay tuned. Bye for now.